Hey, what's up summoners? My name is Nathan Ng, and today I'll be walking you guys through this week's weekly news update. There's a ton of different things to cover, especially with the season finally starting back up. Whether it's a look at some new VFX changes, item changes, crazy reworks, or even the smallest of changes overall, here at ProGuides we've got you covered. Be sure to subscribe and stay tuned until the end so you don't miss out on any important details now and in the future. Nonetheless, let's hop right in. Starting us off strong, we're going to be looking at some new VFX updates that have hit the PBE. Unfortunately, there aren't going to be any new skins that have been announced in this PBE update. However, we'll be seeing the new auction and elite skins next patch. Now, diving into the new VFX updates, let's start off with Velkoz. The goal of this update was to make Velkoz fit in a little bit better with his void identity. It looks to not only clarify his hitboxes, but it also adds nicer hues and a great adjustment to the base color scheme. With it, Velkoz looks far more caught up with the state of the current champions, and it affected quite a few of his skins. The only skins that won't have any massive changes are gonna be Infernal and Black Frost since they're relatively new. Overall, this is a really good update for Velkoz, and it once again shows that Riot is willing to put effort into keeping their game feeling relatively new. They put it best when they said that they don't plan for a League of Legends 2 game, so they may as well push out updates like these. Before we dive into a few other things from the PBE, don't forget to check us out at ProGuides.com, where you can view our great catalog of challenger coaches that can personally create a walkthrough to your dream rank. Got a busy schedule? Well, we've got you covered. Our trained roster of coaches are here 24/7 to really help you reach your goal, whatever that may be. So what are you waiting for? Go check us out and make sure you get that Victoria skin this season. Regardless, let's get back into the video and dive right into the rest of the PBE content with Zarya. Seems that Zarya's splash art has gotten a lot of attention since her face looked a little bit off. Riot took the time to change it in this PBE patch and made her look a little bit more sleek and human. It's nice to see that Riot is willing to go back on previous mistakes and quickly fix them up, even if it isn't a massive issue. The last time we saw something like this happen was with Space Groove's Samara having her eyes fixed. Speaking of fixing eyes, quite a few people have another issue that they're seeing in Zarya. While it's not super significant, if you zoom into her in-game model, her eyes look a little bit weird. This is because the highlights in her eyes are actually coming from two different directions. In turn, it gives a weird impression that she is cross-eyed in that model. A league community member took the time to fix it in the game, so it will look a little bit better, and it honestly came out pretty good. Her eyes look better and she no longer looks like two different things have her attention. Now, the next step will be to see if Riot looks to fix it similarly to how they fix her splash art. Again, this isn't a big issue or anything, but it's quite funny. Anyway, while we're on the topic of Zarya, let's take a look at how the new champion has been fitting into the meta. As with all the new champions, her win rate was extremely low on release and has been slowly stabilizing these past few days. While she still averages a negative win rate globally in Platinum Plus, there is a pattern that's beginning to emerge. At the moment, the higher the rank, the higher her win rate is. Now the biggest difference are seen in ADC and top lanes as you jump from Platinum Plus to Diamond Plus to Master Plus, etc. It's important to keep in mind that the sample size is much smaller, so take this interpretation with a grain of salt. At higher ranks, it seems that players are having significantly more success with her, and it's most likely due to her kit being extremely difficult to use. If you're still not caught up on what Zarya does, we'll put it simply. You have to manage your positioning, your basic attack charge, aim your Q, monitor your E cooldown, and make sure that you're auto-spacing for maximum effectiveness. AKA, you need to focus on a ton of things in order to use the champion to its maximum potential. That being said, Zarya's kit isn't necessarily complex, it's just a lot for many players to focus on at one time. With how successful she's becoming at higher ranks, it makes us wonder if her win rate will continue to rise as more players get more practice with her. Who knows, we may even get to see her in pro play at some point this year. Now, while her win rate isn't crazy, she did receive a slight nerf on the PBE. This nerf can also be counted as a bug fix. With Runaan's, Zarya was able to proc the static shiv effect from her ultimate multiple times. This not only did a little bit more damage, but it heavily empowered the stacks that she gained. While it wasn't game-changing how much damage that she would deal because of it, it was absolutely insane how quickly she would ramp up her movement speed stacks thanks to this interaction. With this nerf, her mobility will sadly be quite a bit worse during teamfights, but this also means that we'll be able to see more itemization options. Overall, Zarya is in a pretty okay spot at the moment, but she seems incredibly difficult to balance. One wrong move and she becomes an S+ tier top laner in high elo thanks to her great mobility and decent range. Let's just hope that Riot takes it slow with Zarya so we don't have another Samara case where most people ban her even if her win rate isn't that great. Now before we continue on with the video, don't think for a second that we have forgotten about everybody's favorite ProGuides tradition. For our question of the day today, we want to ask you all, what champion do you want to get a visual effects update? I think it's great that Riot is updating champions like Vayne and Velkoz. It makes me wonder how somebody like Vladimir could look. Regardless, let us know your answers in the comment section down below. Anyway, let's get back into the video and check out some stuff regarding Ahri's previous announced mini rework. If you've been following us at ProGuides, then you know that Ahri's miniature rework has been up in the air for quite a while now. Well, after quite a few changes, it seems that Riot has found a good place for her and they feel comfortable with her changes. At first, Ahri was going to have quite a few changes done that would make her heal a fairly significant amount, but it also worsened her base stats by quite a bit. On top of this, her ultimate was going to have a new reset mechanic on it, and it would allow her to weave in and out of fights. However, after some gameplay analysis and a lot of feedback, Riot made some really great quality of life changes. They increased her health by 20, which will definitely increase her survivability in exchange for her newly increased sustain. On top of this, they decided her Q was a little bit too weak, so they gave it an additional 10% scaling on its AP ratio. Finally, Ahri's ult reset mechanic has been getting a ton of positive attention, especially with how it fits in story-wise. However, many community members were complaining that you were punished for getting ult resets thanks to its cooldown not starting until after the final cast wore off. Riot heard you guys loud and clear and decided to change it for the better. Ahri's ultimate cooldown will now start ticking after its first cast. Overall, this mini rework feels like it's going to be a great success for Ahri because it will give her a cleaner playstyle that will also allow for some great team fighting. Plus, there's a little bit more skill expression, which is also nice. Unfortunately, there are no plans of reintroducing the damage boost from Charm, so hopefully that doesn't hit her too hard. First Janna and now Ahri. It seems that Riot is on a roll with these mini reworks. Moving on, we got quite a few changes on the PBE. That being said, we're only going to be covering the massive changes so we don't have to spend the whole video talking about them. Starting us off strong, we have Senna, who is having her slow on her Q decreased by 10% and having her minion soul spawn rate cut in half. This is massive because it'll make farming Senna quite a little bit worse. However, for fasting Senna or support Senna, this isn't an issue. Next up, we've got quite a few changes to a ton of bruiser items. One of them being Justeric's Gauge, which is getting new passive called the Claws That Catch. This new passive will gain you 40% base AD as bonus AD, which can help you with a lot of ability and item scalings. On top of this, it's having Bloodlust removed and will no longer be giving out flat AD. Next up, we got some smaller changes for a few items that we're going to quickly go over. Black Cleaver is having its AD increased by 5, its health lowered by 100, and its ability haste increased by 5. Then we have Ravenous Hydra, which is gaining 5 more AD. Trinity Force, which is having its health increased by 100, and Blade of the Rune King, which is having its cost reduced by 100. There's quite a few changes beyond this, but they aren't as massive and are fairly tentative to change at the moment. Before we continue on to the end of the video, if you want to join an amazing community of people like you that loves lists, talk pieces, and other things like this, check out our Discord using the link found in the description. So what are you waiting for? Join up! Anyway, let's get back into the video and take a look at our final few points and go through our patch rundown. Before we fully cover our patch rundown, we have one massive change to announce. Riot has decided that Chemtech Dragon is going to be disabled from now on until who knows when. They know that this dragon has caused a ton of issues for the community and that it overall doesn't really meet their expectations. So they're going to be pulling it from the game and working on it a little bit more so that hopefully in the future they can create something that will fit their vision better. Overall, I'm sure that you're all extremely happy about this change as this dragon made the game extremely difficult to play with both its terrain change and its soul. Anyway, starting off our patch rundown, we got the introduction of Zarya. Again, we won't be covering her abilities here, but make sure you read up on her before diving into your next rank game so you're not caught by surprise. Speaking of reading up, this patch also features Janna's mini rework. With it, Janna had a few shifts in her kit that somewhat changed her playstyle. Now, instead of a poke-heavy lane focus with her W, she can now instead have much more power in her Q and plays as a powerful anti-dive and CC support. Her kit now pairs extremely well with Glacial Augment, so be sure that you don't get lost with the times and end up taking Comet with W max. Before we go on to the final big changes, we've got to mention that Tahm Kench has also received a mini rework this patch. With it, TK is going to be a powerful support and his top lane impact is going to be a little bit weaker. They shifted his gray health to interact with allies near him, which means that he benefits a lot from a dual lane. On top of this, his ultimate now gives him 40% movement speed for 3 seconds, which is massive for taking your carry out of fights. Next up, we got a pretty big change to Senna if you didn't notice it earlier. Senna's Q now provides a 20% slow that scales off of AD and AP. Sure, it's getting nerfed next patch, but just keep that in mind for now since it's given her a ton of extra power. Last but certainly not least, we've got a change to Lethal Temple that will make the early game a little bit weaker for melee and ranged champions, but it will now scale harder as the game goes on. And that sums up our video for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to join our ProGuides family at ProGuides.com. We offer exclusive giveaways and classes that you won't catch anywhere else, so stay tuned and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you guys back in the next video, but don't forget, stay safe, stay healthy, and have a wonderful day. Peace.